Hi, I'm Adele Mills, one of the partners at Simmonds.Mills Architects. I'm here to show you one of our retrofit projects here in Shrewsbury, and we're going to take a tour around a house of Di and Sorrel, who are doing a great retrofit project. Okay. Di and Sorrel, who have moved into this house, when was it? Or not moved in, you've got the keys.
No, beginning of November.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And could you tell us a bit about your motivation for taking on this retrofit project?
Okay, well, we kind of semi-retired, probably tried to do about this time last year, and the pandemic kind of slowed us down a little bit. We used to live down in Oxford. We were looking to move somewhere where house prices were a little more reasonable, and we could live somewhere we weren't so reliant on the car. So we were looking around. Shrewsbury seemed ideal. We found this place, which is kind of 10 minutes walk away from Shrewsbury Town Centre, so seemed ideal. Nice house, sort of ideal for retrofit. Hasn't been touched for a very long time, so we've got quite a bit of work to do on it. Sort of our main motivation is from this point onwards to try and keep our living costs down as much as possible. So the whole trying to retrofit it with passive house principles, good insulation, good air tightness, seems a good way of getting our gas and electricity bills right down.
Great.
So that's mainly it.
And so I think we're going to look in some different rooms at some of the work you've been doing yourselves. We can talk through why those measures are being carried out, and later on in another film we can show the proposal, because you're planning a big new transformation out the back here. Aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what's that going to be for?
The extension.
Yeah.
So we're taking the kitchen and the dining room and just basically pushing them out into the garden. Just to create a little bit more space.
I mean, the existing kitchen hasn't really been touched since the house was built in 1935. So it's quite small. It's not.
You can't fit a fridge, a washing machine, and a cooker in it.
No. So it is ripe for the workroom.
Yeah.
Isn't
Yes,
it?
I think so,
It's a good point of intervention. Great. Okay, let's go in another room. Do one of you want to explain a bit what we're doing in this front room that's going on? Esther's focusing in on the joist ends here to the neighbour's wall.
Okay, so the sort of front part of the house, we're going to insulate with internal wall insulation, just because it's got an external bay. We've got fairly nice features around the door and porch that we'd like to maintain. So rather than go for external wall insulation, in discussion with yourself, came up with the idea of going for internal wall insulation. So we're planning on putting a wood fibre insulation system on this front wall. We're trying to make it continuous all the way across. So we've got this stud wall between the two bedrooms that we kind of pulled back. We pulled the joist back a little bit.
And we're going for about 100mm on this wall.
This room we're going for 100mm insulation. So what you see on there at the moment, we've taken it all back to bare brick. This is just our levelling coat that we put on, which is also our air tightness layer. So before we kind of put this levelling coat on, you can just see at the top there, we've got sort of air tightness tape on the wall plate. So we've done that everywhere, our wall to ceiling junction, and as you were looking at earlier, we've done it around all the joists, going into the party wall, and you can see on the other end into the external wall. Some of the gaps around the joists were enormous. You could easily get your hand in there. Down in that corner there, you were just looking at, I could quite easily get my arm pretty much into next door, just straight to the wall. So it just shows on an old house how many big holes there are.
Absolutely,
and how important it is to seal everything up. So we've done this in the last week or so.
Last week,
and just doing that has made a huge difference to how warm the house is.
Wow.
I mean, we only have the heating on hour in the morning, hour in the evening, just to keep frost off at the moment.
And it feels warm now.
When we started plugging up the big holes, it starts to make a big difference immediately.
So Sorrel, I know that you're doing some plastering training, aren't you? Or soon?
Soon.
Trying to.
But what sort of plaster have you been using?
So this is lime plaster, which is breathable, so the moisture can go through it, but it does act as an airtight layer. It's not too difficult to work with. I was a bit worried that it was going to be like really stiff. But you just have to make sure that you just
And also, it's not your main finish; it's going to be covered over. So
yeah. So we've got the boards to go on top, and then you've got a final plaster layer on top.
So you'll be an expert by then.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Let's go in another room then. So we're in this little front bedroom, and we're focusing in there on a gap around these existing windows. Now I know you've made a decision you're going to improve these windows. Some of them are to a better quality PVC you're choosing, aren't you?
Yes. Yeah. So it's getting a balance between thermal performance and cost is what we're going for. So we've had triple glazed PVC windows before. It seemed pretty good to make a big difference in our last house. So we're planning on doing a similar thing again.
But installing them a little bit better than...
Hopefully, once we've installed them, you shouldn't be able to see holes around the outside like on this one.
No.
But when they get installed, you have to put the air-tightness tape around the edge of the windows again, like we have done with the wall plate at the top there.
Yes, can you see that? So, and how did you decide you're going to fill that gap up to level up the top of the wall though?
That's going to be lime plaster.
So it was lime plaster before.
Yeah.
So there was maybe an inch thick of plaster on there.
Yeah.
So we pulled all that away just to clean it up so we can get the tape on. So we got the tape down onto the brick and up onto the ceiling plane. And then we're going to put the plaster back on. Just
so that the walls are all sealed to the, to the ceiling plane.
So we've got our continuous air tightness layer all the way around, and then once the windows get changed, we'll be doing the same again. So we'll put an L-shaped section of the tape between the window and the brick, and then we'll bring our plastic coat over.
Fantastic.
To finish it.
Brilliant. Talk about ventilation in the house, because once we get to a reasonable level of reduction in energy use, we start to look at the benefits of having a mechanical ventilation system. And I know you've gone for that, haven't you?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you want to explain where it's going? And
Well, main thing is I hate trickle vents.
Yeah.
I hate it with a passion. So on a windy day like this, just getting drafts coming through that you can't control, I think is a stupid way to build a house. So doing it with a mechanical ventilation system seemed a lot more sensible. So we're going to have a unit. So this wall is going to be reconfigured. That there's going to be the entrance to the new kitchen in the extension. This is going to be bricked up. We're going to be replacing the boiler, but it's going to hopefully going to be staying in roughly the same place. And then we'll have our MVHI unit, which is about this size, which will be sitting up on the wall there somewhere. So we'll be pulling in fresh air from outside into the unit, and then that will be going off and feeding all of the habitable rooms.
Yeah.
And then we'll have a waste system which pulls air back from the bathroom and the kitchen back into the unit, which then extracts the heat from it to warm the air coming in. Yeah. And then that sort of stale air will be extracted. Yeah. Again, out in the corner there.
Yeah. I mean, I think Shrewsbury isn't a really, bad air pollution area, is it? But it's having that filtered air.
Yes.
So we're claiming, I'm not sure if those figures are accurate, of up to 90% of the heat that normally we lose through ventilation.
Apparently,
quite significant. Yeah. So it has some cost of using electricity, doesn't it? And some maintenance issues. You've got to replace a filter every now and then, but it's not big cost, is it?
No, it's not, and it'll. I think it'll pay for itself in terms of energy efficiency, because you're not going to be losing warmth from the house every time the wind is blowing.
Exactly.
All of that is going to be under control. So
this is going to be a door, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So this old kitchen is going to become like a utility area. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. We're up in the loft space. Di, do you want to tell us what the plan is up here?
Well, to start with, as you can see, we've got kind of minimal insulation. This is pretty much the only insulation we found in the house. Yeah. We've got a tiny layer. So, that's going to be made up to 400mm of cellulose to give us a decent insulation layer up here.
So that's loose fill pumped recycled newspaper, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah. So you'll only have access over a limited, you're going to make a little deck for some storage.
So we've got these boards in at the moment, which are just for me to work as we're doing things as we go along. I'll be raising them up on a sort of homebrew beam system just to hold it 400 it'd probably be a bit more, 450mm off the joist, just to leave a bit of air gap around.
So that gives a really affordable way of self-building and adding really good insulation, doesn't it? That then links in, if you look over at the eaves, Esther, where it'll be linked in and join into the wall insulation.
Yeah, so we've got a bit of a tricky detail at the eaves where we need to somehow join the loft insulation down to the insulation on the walls to make sure we haven't got any cold spots there.
Yeah.
But the rest of the loft I see as one of the easier bits to do.
Yeah.
And it's something that's fairly easy to do for DIY.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest problem, what's been keeping me busy for the last couple of weeks, is where the walls come through from below.
Yeah.
So this is the wall between the bathroom and one of the bedrooms.
Yeah.
And there are gaps from the outside.
Yeah.
So there's quite a bit of air coming through there. The last week or so it's been quite breezy, it's been quite noticeable. So I've gone along with a Pro Climber air-tightness paint.
Yeah.
And I've done multiple layers over here, and the sort of checkerboard stuff you can see in there is just plasterer's scrim tape, which is found really good as a backup.
Yeah.
So to fill up the sort of bigger gaps,
Yeah.
I just put some of that down, paint over it,
Yeah.
leave it a day, come back, any remaining holes, paint over it again, and now after a week or so, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
So I've done that over everywhere where a dividing wall comes up into the loft space.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do it around the edges as well, but part of that will be covered by the air tightness tape you saw earlier.
Yeah.
So hopefully we won't be losing too much heat into the loft at any point, and
Fantastic.
we won't have any massive drafts coming through.
Great. Okay. You've got a great aspect out the back here, haven't you? Facing nearly south, I think it is, or southwest.
Yes, southwest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about your options, what you're doing here.
Well, as we mentioned earlier, we're trying to get sort of a bigger kitchen dining area, so we're just coming out with sort of a single pitch extension.
Yeah.
Kind of the same as next door actually. Coming out to about here somewhere, so a new kitchen's going to be over there, dining area here, and as you say, trying to make good use of the south facing aspect and trying to get some solar gain from that.
And we've got a chance here to really insulate the new construction well, haven't we, with new timber I-beams on the roof that have got, I can't remember if we're going for 400mm, isn't it, at the moment, of insulation.
Yeah.
All of this has been modelled as a thermal model, which we can discuss later.
Yeah.
And we didn't mention the floors inside, did we? That you're taking up the ground floor, aren't you?
Yes.
Putting a solid floor down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, along with me hating trickle vents, I hate
Suspended
floors and ventilated suspended floors.
Having the drafts, the potential for drafts.
Yeah.
And then down the side, I know that your the plan is to use EWI, external wall insulation, isn't it?
Yeah, so external wall insulation on the side of the house where it doesn't kind of influence what it looks like from the wall, from the road so much.
And doesn't take away space inside, of course.
Exactly.
As well.
Yeah. I mean, it possibly would have been our preferred way to do the entire house if we could.
Yeah.
Just because you keep all the nice big thick walls inside that insulated duvet, which seems like a nicer way of doing it, but just the sort of technical problems on the front elevation.
Yeah.
We didn't want to do it there.
And I know that at the moment the quotes that you had are to go tuck in under this existing eaves detail, aren't they? So that we don't have to alter the roof.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
So again, that's quite a good way of getting a very good level of insulation, but without spending too much money on major changes.
And is the quote at the moment to keep the pebble dash? Or
just to go on top of it.
Yes, but it doesn't have to have a smoothing layer, a levelling layer. Can it be pushed up against the existing pebble dash?
Yes.
It is mentioned, you can just put a thick layer of adhesion on and put it straight on the existing pebble dash. We haven't decided yet whether we'll take that off or not before applying the external wall insulation.
Great.